welcome to How to Use Humor in Your Classes Effectively. My name is Rory Hatfield, a pre-college live online faculty member, and we'll be talking about how to use appropriate jokes within the context of your classroom, both in on-site and live online classes. Being an engaging teacher and encouraging your students to have fun while still learning in class often involves humor. The first thing you should know about humor is you should never make fun of a student, but it's okay to make fun of yourself lightly. I know it goes without saying that you should make fun of students. Lord knows I've seen teachers get fired for that. But there's a way to gently prod at yourself while still teaching Kaplan methods. For example, take the average speed formula on screen. Students know that you should divide total distance by total time, but they might not actually see how. So consider this example I use in my classes. To demonstrate that you can't just average the speed, let's say I'm taking a first leg of a journey, and I drive the Batmobile at 1 hour at 200 miles an hour. Pretty sweet deal, right? But then on the return leg for 200, and also for 200 miles, hey, just like the Christmas song, Batmobile, loses a wheel, so I need to drive a donkey cart back. And here's the thing. Not only is that a funny image of me driving a donkey cart going, ha, ha, Gladys, ha, ha. But it also shows that there's no way that the average speed would just be 210 divided by 2, because I'm on the donkey cart for like 20 times as long as I am riding the Batmobile. Now, would that scenario be worth it to drive the Batmobile? Absolutely, I would do that. But it goes to show you that you can't just average the speeds, and students will not only learn that, but they'll keep that humorous message in mind on the test. Now, when it comes to pop culture references, I kept it safe with the Batmobile. Due to the success of The Dark Knight and the fact that Batman has been a popular comic, TV show, cartoon, what have you, for about the last, 50 years, it's safe to say that students will recognize Batman. Another safe person or item to use will be Harry Potter, and I actually use this in my Session 6 class. Consider hearing words in a foreign language. Harry Potter is popular enough that your students will jump at the chance to give you Harry Potter spells of Latin roots. I put 3 on the board, Ingorgio, Lumos, and Apariceum, just to get them to show that Latin roots are abound in the names, charms, and spells in the Harry Potter world. Is it any question that Remus Lupin was the werewolf? I mean, really, people? Really? And again, they often get a kick out of Harry Potter, and I have red hair, so I often say that I'm, a lost Weasley brother, and that typically gets a kick out of the students. I actually don't have to mention that, because when they see Harry Potter and the red hair, they're like, oh, are you Ron Weasley? I'm like, yep, I actually am Ron Weasley. That was, you saw through my muggle disguise. I would say that if you're going to use a reference that maybe, if this is especially for live online teachers, if you're teaching international students who may not be as familiar with American culture, then you got to watch out with what you with your references. For example, if you were going to reference the Jersey Shore and talk about Snooki and the situation, a lot of students might feel left out if they don't watch the show. However, if you do what I do and use the Pauly D voice to introduce some questions like, hey, I'm Pauly D, here to talk to you about the SAT essay. Bada bing, hey, what do you know? Hey, listen to my CD. You don't have to know who Pauly D is, but you can tell by his voice and my joke that he's a shameless self-promoter with a goofy voice. If you're going to make a pop culture reference that might be a little alien, that's okay. Just make sure it's inherently funny, and so students can be in on the joke. Because that's the thing with references. They're great if you understand the reference, you're like part of a club, but if you're not, you feel a little excluded. And we certainly don't want to have any of our students feel like their teachers making the class inaccessible at any point. I will say that I did use a specific brand, baseball team actually, in my next example, which is not only using humor but also using polls to teach a concept in the inference section. Now, this is a great tool not only for live online teachers, great use of polls, by the way, guys, but it's an excellent use for the classroom, because let me tell you, inference questions always confound students, and the more ways that you can approach them, the better. So check this out. I always bring a prop, and it's okay. I did clear this with my superiors, and since I'm telling you to do this, that's okay too. I put on my Boston Red Sox hat, and I do announce that it is the Boston Red Sox. Again, I just give a brief explanation. It's a baseball team, but while it's safe to assume students would have heard of the Boston Red Sox, they were kind of cursed for almost a century. I still just give a very brief explanation, so that international students or students who may not follow sports still get it. I mean, if I was taking a class in England and someone mentioned something about like rugby or like West Ham United song, I'd be like, huh? So I extend the same courtesy to people. Here's the poll I have to introduce the concept of inference questions. I also explain that the New York Yankees are the rivals, the Boston Red Sox, and how Fenway Park is their home stadium. The funny thing is, routinely, students get the right answer. They get that I like the Red Sox. Okay. That's the thing. And then when I ask them to explain why they got the right answer, they say, well, you're wearing a hat, so we just figured you liked it. And I say, great. That's exactly the basic, quick inference you need to make on these questions. Notice how hating the Yankees can't be right, because you picked he likes the Red Sox. There's only one right answer. Great introduction to the one right, full rotten rule. Think about it. If you choose I hate the Yankees, that's because you think that I like the Red Sox. But if you pick he hates the Yankees as right, you're saying he likes the Red Sox as wrong. So that doesn't make sense. Same goes with Fenway Park. I have season tickets to Fenway, but I don't like the Red Sox. Or also, the last example is a clear exaggeration, but it's a great example of an extreme wrong answer choice. Just because I wear a hat means I have season tickets to Fenway Park? Yeah, I kind of wish it were that simple. Now, the important thing is that if you're not into sports, that's okay. Do whatever feels comfortable with you. So for some classes, I have instituted I like wearing bow ties. And that's really the last part. I do wear a bow tie in class, not for the first session, because it does kind of have a humorous, sort of offbeat appeal that I don't want my students to think of immediately. But as the class goes on, they're comfortable with me, I'm comfortable with them, they're in the routine and structure of the class. I'll bust out the old Orville Redenbacher right here. And that's what's neat about wearing a bow tie, if you can pull it off, because it's the perfect balance between formality. Read a copy of Southern Living if you don't believe me. Silliness, because Southern gentlemen wear this, but so does a time-traveling scientist in Doctor Who, and a Moon Bear yogi that steals picnic baskets. Your classroom safely. As a recap, what you should do is make sure that your humor is accessible. If you're going to poke fun at somebody, poke fun at yourself lightly, while still teaching the Kaplan method. If you're going to use pop culture examples, make sure they're either universally known, or you give a brief background on them so as not to exclude students who may not be in on the reference. And lastly, if you're in a live online class, make sure you're using polls regularly to really reach your students in another way. Alright, take a look for my other videos within the Energy Task Force coming up soon. Have a great day, and happy teaching.